Alright, here's a quick video of my 88 Iroc, which I converted to a big block. I'll give you some quick details. The engine's a 468 cubic inch, 10.5:1 compression, Merlin heads, stud girdled. It's got a nitrous cam in it, small lift. Holley 950 HP carburetor, MSD Billet Pro distributor. It's got a real large radiator with electric fans so that it can be ran on the street. It does have power steering. As you can see, there's the reservoir and the pump. I did convert it to a Hydro Boost setup for better braking. It does have Willwood brakes on all four corners. It's got a small nitrous kit on it, wet system, with two regulators. For the primary for the carburetor and secondary for the nitrous kit. It's only got a 100 shot on it for now. It'll take a lot more than that. Never really had the need for much more. It's got a 130 amp alternator on it. The car was painted about 5 years ago. It's been in the garage, never seen a drop of rain. It's pretty straight, the paint. Rims and tires are brand new. I just swapped those on. Mickey Thompson's Pro radials in the back, 275 60/15. You can see they're in pretty good shape. We only got about 50 miles on them or so. The door handles are shaved on this vehicle. There is a keyless remote that pops them. There also is an emergency opener. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right back in here. Real quick, do the rest of the outside of the car. It does have a full exhaust system on it. I did open it up. I would recommend opening up. I'm going to use it as a race car primarily because it does choke it a bit. But for street driving, it's a must. Windows are all tinted, as you can see. Shaved handles on the passenger side as well. It does have a 4-inch cowl hood. It does still have the original hood lift system, even though it's a fiberglass hood. I did away with the latch since I was worried the hood would fly off. It's got pins on it. There's a full look at the hood. On the inside, the whole instrumentation was ripped out and redone. The factory gauges just wouldn't cut it. It does have autometer, speedometer, autometer tack, shift light, fuel gauge. Over here we got a water temp volt gauge and an oil pressure gauge. It does have a working sound system, Pioneer radio with kick panel pods, just for a little something. Some tweeters mounted up top. And then the kicks. It does have original door panels on it that were replaced. They are new. Windows do work up and down. I did replace the factory seats with a set of Corbeau racing seats, 5-point harnesses or G-Force. They're brand new. Belts are still good for racing if you wanted to. It does have a 6-point roll cage. They are removable on both sides with swing outs. If you wanted to eliminate the roll bar so you can drive, you could just take the two side bars out. Back seats are eliminated. It is carpeted throughout. All the carpet is brand new. Passenger side here, real quick. It does have a turbo 400 transmission. It's a stage 3 setup, should be good to about 1300 horsepower. Here's your trans brake. Over here is how you'll activate the trans brake. There is a line lock in the car as well. There is a transmission temp gauge for keeping an eye on things. It's got about a 3200 stall converter in it, so it is still drivable, although with 410 gears, Ford 9-inch rear, it's going to be about 4,000 RPM at about 70 miles an hour. There is separate controls for the nitrous power on, nitrous power purge, and of course to arm the system. This other little switch right here is to lock the seatbelt mechanisms. They are solenoided so that you can hit that switch so that your belts will slide forward while you're in the car, and then when you hit that switch it'll lock the belt. I've always found it a pain in the butt when you're driving on the street to have to click those off and on, so I made it so that it was a little simpler. Underneath the car, I do have photos that you can see, but there is a Ford 9-inch rear, 410 gears. There is some sway bars under here. There is a turbo 400 trans support plus a torque arm on this car. It does have lowering springs on it, different pan hard bar. It's all brand new underneath the car. There's only about 4 or 5, maybe 450 miles of street use, 2 or 3 passes at the track. It does have an air mode of 1000 fuel system underneath with a filter. Factory tank was sumped, and it utilizes the factory fill. So, well, actually, I eliminated the factory fill here, and it is inside. There's a little trap door that you can fill it with fuel. I'll show you that real quick. Open this up. See the rest of the cage work. I had that professionally done. I didn't take that job on myself. There's a little flap here. Remove these pins. There's your fill for the fuel tank. Once again, I usually run 94 octane on the street. Sometimes I'll add a little race gas additive to it just for safety precautions on a hot day. When it's cool outside, it seems to run fine. With 10.5 to 1 compression though, it can get hot on a hot day, so I recommend either backing the timing off or putting a little better fuel in it. There is an Edelbrock nitrous kit. It is vented through the floor, as you can see. That's about it. Like I said, there's some photos listed. If anybody has any questions, they can reach me at 609-820-0979. I hope you like my Iroc. Good luck.